Hello again, you guys. My name is Lindsay Ann, and this is Can't Stop, Won't Stop Warriors on YouTube. If you haven't already done so, please click my logo below and subscribe to Can't Stop, Won't Stop Warriors. It's free, and your subscription will help get loved one stories to more people. People who are going through a similar situation. Maybe someone listening is going through a similar nightmare and doesn't know what to do or what their options may be. Please like and subscribe. Today's case is very dear to my heart. Kassie Merrow's daughter and sister have been so extremely patient with my coverage of their loved one's case. On October 24, 2021, I received this message on my Facebook message requests. Quote, "My name is Miranda, and I recently watched your family's Dateline about Egypt. First, I would like to give your family my condolences. Second, her case is similar to my mom's case, and I drew interest. My mother went missing in 2019, vanished from a hotel in Flat Rock, Michigan. We reported her missing with the Flat Rock Police Department after, and the case to this day is still open. I believe, and my aunt believes, that Flat Rock Police Department isn't doing enough. They've found her belongings in a bar basement where my mom's boyfriend used to work. She didn't live or work there. So therefore, there are no reasons why her belongings should be there. My aunt and I just don't know what to do. We need to find her and get answers. My aunt also watched your Dateline and also mentioned she lived in the same neighborhood as Egypt. I don't know if there's any way that you would be able to help in any way. Thank you for your time." End quote. Then you guys, one day later, I received this message. Quote, "Hi, Lindsay. Seen Dateline this past Friday. I lived in Belleville off Cheney Street when this all happened to Egypt. I was drawn to all the flyers every time I see them. I felt your loss. My sister has been missing since June 2019. Like you all, the Flat Rock Police Department don't have the resources, nor will they sign off to the state police. Can you help us?" End quote. So on October 22nd, 2019, my sister-in-law's brutal murder was featured on Dateline. Here's one of the trailers.
"Oh my God. I just showed up at my girlfriend's house. He's dead."
He said Egypt's been murdered.
It was just unfathomable. How do you lose somebody like that in this way?
I never would have thought of anyone having the reason to murder my daughter.
I just wanted the police to figure it out.
I said, "Who is this beautiful person on your phone?" And he said, "That's my sister. She was murdered and it's unsolved."
So your new lady went from girlfriend to detective in no time flat.
She's gone into it like an investigator. Let's get interviews. Let's go talk with so-and-so.
It divided our family. It divided the entire community.
She never even knew Egypt, never met Egypt, anything like that.
Why did you become so passionate about finding her killer?
Because of the man that I love so dearly. And I wanted him and his family to find justice.
Lindsay Brink played a huge role to get this case with the Michigan State Police.
This sort of crime required a lot of expertise with electronics and other forms of evidence.
He said, "I know you've been waiting for this for a long time." We made an arrest.
There's no way anyone would ever want these people out on the streets again.
We have also filmed a follow-up episode with Dateline that aired more recently on March 22nd, 2024. You can watch that entire episode on Peacock, titled A Girl Named Egypt, Season 33, Episode 32. After we first appeared on Dateline, I was inundated with similar messages as I received from both Miranda and Kelly. Families requesting my help. Cassie's story stuck out to me because it was a local case with zero media coverage. That's a red flag for me. Why would there be no coverage regarding a missing person that is a possible homicide? Why was Flat Rock Police Department keeping it so quiet and under wraps? I was intrigued. I asked Cassie's sister, Kelly, for more information, and that day, she emailed me a document titled, quote, Murder Case for Kassie Merrow, a.k.a. Kassie Lee James, thick as thieves, end quote. It's 5 pages of journal-like entries. It's very detailed with names, phone numbers, dates, and quotes from interviews. Throughout this episode, I'm going to be referring to portions of that document to add more detail or clarification to the conversation that I had with Cassie's sister, Kelly. So Kassie Merrow was last seen at the Baymont by Wyndham Hotel in the 29100 block of Commerce Drive in Flat Rock, Michigan, at 11 a.m. on June 7, 2019. She had spent at least one night at the hotel before she disappeared. She has never been heard from again.
Kass is my sister, my only sister. We look like spitting image of each other. Yeah, she's my older sister, even though I felt like I was the older one at times, but then later in life, it was like, yeah, she was my rock. She didn't even know she was my rock. I think she thought that she needed me, and actually I needed her more than she needed me. I needed her more than she needed me. She just didn't even know it.
This is Kelly James, Kassie Merrow's younger sister and only sibling.
Kass was the smartest person. She went to Gabriel Richard. She didn't have to ever study for any kind of class or anything. She got straight A's no matter what. I mean, me and her used to always sneak out of the house, of course. I would always beg to go with her because she's 3 years older, and I was a freshman. She's a senior hanging out with seniors. I went to the public school. She went to private. I think I was the bad kid or something. I don't know. But I don't know. Kass was smart and had a lot of friends. And my sister was the sweetest person. Anybody that met my sister, anybody that knew my sister, they loved my sister. Like, yeah, she was an addict. Yeah, she had her problems. But anybody that met my sister loved my sister. My sister was funny. She was so funny. She was always very witty. Come back with something real quick. My sister is a good time, let me tell you. If you were around her, you would be laughing. She had some demons that, and I mean, me and her talked a couple times. She's like, you don't know what it's like to be an addict. I said, no, but I lived in the same house with you. We grew up in the same house. I chose a different path. My mom was the best mom that she could be. My dad, yeah, not so much growing up, but my dad still was our dad, and he was around. But I don't know, Kass fell down. She hung out with kids at school that some of these kids had money, and they had drugs, access to drugs, so easy. I think she just got hooked on certain things, like her addiction. When she went away to Dawn Farm, she was addicted to crack. Yeah, her neighbor got her hooked on that because they owned a bar, and I think it was cocaine at first, like they started doing cocaine. We lived together till my sister got married and moved out with Paul, and that's when her addiction started because she lived next door to some people that Kass would go along with the flow. You know what I mean? I think that's what she did. And my mom gave her an ultimatum one day, and then my mom meant it. Either you're going to rehab or you're not going to have Miranda. You're done. I'm taking Miranda from you. So she chose rehab. And she got clean for a long time. That was an excellent facility she went to. It was like a farm. It was in Brighton. But she had a really good job back then, and that, it paid for that. Yeah, and then she lost her job, obviously. They let her go. But, she was a hard worker, and she always ended up with good jobs. But she like my mom used to say, she was her own worst enemy. She would sabotage shit, I think on purpose. I don't know. If things were going good, she would sabotage it. Her husband that she chose, that guy, he was the biggest asshole I could ever meet in my life.
Cassie's marriage did not last, and she ended up back in a rehab facility for a year prior to her mom's passing. She was doing much better. And then she had gastric bypass surgery, which Kelly believes caused her to spiral a little bit. Soon after that, their mother died, causing Kass to spiral even more, resulting in Cassie going back to a rehab. On June 6, 2019, Kelly paid for a Lyft to pick up Kass and take her back to Flat Rock, Michigan to be with her boyfriend at the time, Rob.
I got her a Lyft ride back to the Flat Rock, was it a Baymont Hotel, and I figured the next morning, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go there and I'm going to make sure that she gets to rehab because that's where she needs to go back. She was actually in a mental ward, I guess, before that. I didn't know that's where she was getting out of because something happened. She ended up there. And she had told me that she was getting kicked out of there and she had no choice. Her insurance wouldn't pay for her to be there anymore. Come to find out, that wasn't true. She just wanted to leave. She signed herself out. And I was like, all right, you're sick, you're falling down the wrong path again. You're going to have to get help. You need to be with your grandbaby. You need to help us with Miranda, blah, blah, blah. And
Cassie has a daughter, Miranda, who you heard from earlier in this episode. At the time of her disappearance, she also had a grandson. And Miranda has since added a sweet baby girl to the family that Cassie has never met.
So June 7th, 2019, I went to the hotel that morning. I'm going to get there real early, and I'm going to confront her, and she doesn't have a choice. I don't think she knew I was going to make her go, but it's hard to make somebody go. I could have got on the phone with some people from Memphis Rehab, a place in Memphis, and that's where I wanted her to go. So I had a phone number for her to call, and I wanted her to go. So when I got there, Rob was in the hotel room with her, and I'm like, you got to leave. He left. She said she had to take a shower. I went downstairs. I went to Tim Hortons next door to get a coffee. I said, I'll go get us coffees. When I get back, we're going to go do some stuff. We need to get you clean. And when I got back, she was gone.
I wanted to learn more about who Kass's boyfriend, Rob, was. According to her Thick as Thieves journal, this is what Kelly remembers about Rob on the morning of June 7, 2019. She wrote, quote, "When I arrived, Rob was getting out of bed all jacked up on something, saying some crap to me about, 'Don't worry, I'm leaving.' He went to put jeans on. I said, 'Gross, man. You look disgusting, loser.' His jeans were ripped, torn at, all ripped at the bottom, stained, had grass cuttings on them, dirty," end quote. Here's Kelly.
Rob is Cassie's boyfriend that they were like bad for each other. It was like bad, but that was her boyfriend. And he worked downriver at a bunch of bars, and she kept saying, my Rob. That's what she called him. Everything that ended up was bad news with him. He hung out with some really bad people from downriver, like really bad people. He was kind of dark-souled person, like very standoffish, quiet, and he was younger than Kass, because Kass is 3 years older than me, and I think he was more my age. I think he was maybe a couple years younger than me even.
According to the Thick as Thieves journal, a former bartender at the Huron River Inn, HRI, told Kelly that she, quote, "witnessed these men in Rob's circle taking girls and exploiting them on their boats. They would show pictures of girls that they have gotten drunk and then all take turns having sex against the girl's will," end quote. If this is true and you are one of the victims, please reach out. I am so sorry that happened to you. You didn't deserve that. It's time to take back the control. Your information may be the piece of the puzzle that we need for both you and Kass's justice. Okay, so we know that on June 6, 2019, Cassie signed herself out of a psych ward. And the next morning, her sister Kelly drove to Flat Rock, Michigan to take Kass to a rehab facility to get her clean once and for all. That was the plan. Once Kelly arrived at the Baymont Hotel where Kass and Rob were staying, Kelly walked next door to grab 2 coffees while her sister took a shower. When Kelly returned with the coffees, Kass was gone.
I went to get coffee at Tim Hortons next door and came back because she was going to get in the shower. And she was like, I'm going. I want to get better. I'm going. She convinced me. Yep, I want to get better. I wanted to see Reese, which would have been her grandbaby. I said, okay, I'm going to get his coffees and I'll be back. When she left, I went downstairs and asked the front desk, did you see someone that looks like me, be my sister, walk by here? And they go, yeah, she just ran down. You missed her by 5 minutes, and she went out the back. So I got in my car, I drove around, I walked. So the only thing I could think, she was hiding in the bushes, or come to find out, whoever her Uber driver was, which is this guy that she hung out with, picked her up from the Burger King next door. So that's where she was at. And I went through that parking lot. It's like a Burger King / gas station. I went in there and asked and I went in after, like a week later, and that's when I started asking around. I'm like, was she in here? And he's like, yeah, I think she was, but I'll let you talk to my boss. And I'm like, can I get your footage of your video footage? They wouldn't give it to me. They said the police took the video footage. So I didn't find that out really right away. I had to hire a PI. I hired Lenny, and that's when I found all this out about where she ended up and where they found her clothes and her phone later on, because the police wouldn't give me any information. They wouldn't give me nothing. They just kept saying, stop, Kelly, you need to stop asking questions, because I would go to the bar. I was pounding pavements asking questions.
Y'all, this is the shit that pisses me off. You have Kelly, who is out pounding pavement and asking questions in hopes of finding her missing sister. And then the cops are the ones telling her to stop asking questions? This is so fucked up, in my opinion. And this happens way too often. If our family would have listened to the original detectives on my sister-in-law's murder case, I guarantee her case would still be unsolved. The truth is, we need the community's involvement. We need to pound pavement ourselves. We need to ruffle feathers. We need to ask questions. And unfortunately, we need to do our own investigating in way too many cases. I'm so proud of Kelly and her efforts to locate her sister. In the beginning, Kelly just thought Kass was being Kass and just ran off. It wasn't until July, nearly a month later, that the real worry set in.
July 4th. It was the holiday weekend. We went up north. I hadn't heard from her. And I got
almost a month.
Yeah. Well, it's just normal with Kass because she's good for not calling me, but she would call Miranda. So I just assumed she was, I'm like, hey, have you heard from your mom? She's like, no, I'm really getting worried. Well, then I got a phone call that day when I was heading up north, and I want to say that was like July 3rd. I got a phone call from Rob. He had my phone number, and he called me. I said, where's my sister? He goes, oh, she's in rehab. I go, oh, she's in rehab? Yeah. But she's got a check here. It came to the house. She's got a check, and I know she wants it. And if she can't get it, she can't get the check, she would want you or her daughter to have it. That's what he said. So I was like, my sister knew she had money coming. She would have been Johnny on it. You know what I mean? Especially addicts, things like that. She would have been right there waiting for that money. And I remember her telling me a long time ago when she was getting this, it was a restitution check. She's like, can I mail it to your house? And I said, sure. Well, she obviously didn't.
This restitution check was a result from Kass getting stabbed by Liz Hutton Labadie. Kelly claims to have messages from Kassie to her friend Michelle saying that she was in fear of her life after this court issue with Liz, saying that Bill Davis was threatening her.
So then when I thought that, I thought, something's wrong. So I called Miranda. I said, something don't add up here. So we went up north. We opened the cabin, or we were doing something. I remember it was super hot. We got back that Sunday. Monday, we went and reported her missing at Flat Rock. I decided to do Flat Rock because that's where I last seen her, was the Baymont in Flat Rock and up Gibraltar Road. And Flat Rock is where Rob and all them hung out. So I'm like, I'm going to report her missing in Flat Rock. They were excellent. When I went in there, the detective, I think I spoke to Detective Winnicky, I can't remember his name at the time. He was like, nope, we're all on it. They literally, the second that I reported her missing, right there, they sent 2 officers to the HRI, the Huron River Inn in Rockwood, and that's where Rob was a cook. I said, here's his number. He called me. So they called him. He answered, and they said, stay where you are, or whatever. I mean, these cops sped out of the parking lot. I thought it was a joke. I'm like, no, they're not really going to do that. Well, they did. They questioned him right there on the spot. And then they told me they got nothing out of him, that he doesn't know where your sister's at. And they just said he didn't know anything. Come to find out later on, he was the last one to talk to her because they had his phone. They kept his phone and took his text messages, and he was the last one to speak to her on June 7th at 10 p.m. She texted him and said, come get me. So he knew where she was at. She was on Facebook still because I seen her post something, and that was Friday night, and I was pissed because I said, oh, ran away, but you're on Facebook. I'm like, where'd you go? You need to get help. We had met, and then I went back and forth with Rob on Messenger asking him, where's my sister? If you did something to my sister, this was in July, late July or August, I messaged him asking him if he did something to my sister. I got nothing. Cricket. But why would you call me to say she had a check? It was weird. Like a month later, and I'm like, mm-mm.
If Rob knew that Kassie was in rehab, I wonder why he wouldn't just hold on to the check for when his girlfriend got back home. Why did he say that if Kass couldn't have it, she'd want Kelly or Miranda to have it? I wonder if he knew that Kass was never coming back. Why didn't he just cash the check? Was he feeling some sort of guilt?
And me and Miranda both had a bad feeling. I don't know what it was. I can't say twin because me and Kass weren't twins, but I had a bad gut feeling. My heart just sunk in my gut. It was like I had a knot in my stomach when he told me that she had a check and that she was in rehab and he wanted me or Miranda to get it. And I'm like, nope, that doesn't even sound right. Yeah. It was, and it had a big smiley face on it from the girl that stabbed my sister. She put a smiley face on the check. Who does that? Because they got in a fight. They were all drunk one night. Later on, through with Lenny, and later on, like a year later, I found out that girl had brought my sister money and took her to Kroger to buy her food because she was living in the woods. So she didn't really go missing totally that day. I think it was like a week or two later went by before someone took her because she had asked that Friday night or Saturday, they said, for that girl to meet her, and she gave her $20, took her to Kroger. She bought canned soup, a can opener, and a bottle of wine, and dropped her back off behind the Baymont Hotel. Yep, and that's when we heard that she was living. And this is how it all started, that we found out she ended up living in the woods behind the Baymont.
Hold on. We will get back to that in a moment. Let's recap real quick. Kass was last seen by Kelly on the morning of June 7, 2019. It's reported that a week or so later, she was seen at Kroger buying some canned goods, a can opener, and wine. July 3, 2019, Kass's boyfriend, Rob, called Kelly to tell her that he had Kass's restitution check and that Kass was in rehab. Kelly reports her sister missing and begins asking questions and putting up missing person posters. The police question Rob, and he says he knows nothing.
So they didn't make sense. You know, when Kass disappeared, things weren't right. It wasn't normal. She was hanging with some rough people. Cassie it'd be normal for her not to call me for a month, but not her daughter. Never. Especially after she had Reese. Mm-hmm. I mean, she even got clean a little bit. We took her, when it was Reese's first birthday, took her to that birthday party, and we dropped her back off. I picked her up, and she wanted to go back to the HRI because that's where her Rob was, and Rob working. And I said, why don't you go home, or where can I take you? She's like, no, I want to go to the bar. When I got there to drop her off, these guys were out front, and they were like, oh, what are you doing, bitch? You don't belong here. They were like roughing her up. And I said, do you feel safe here? Why are you I don't want you to get out of the truck. She goes, oh, no, they're just playing. It's Rob's friends. And I'm like, no. I go, this ain't right. She goes, no, I'm good. Rob came out of the bar, and he got her, and they walked back in. But Miranda told me a week later she got really drunk and called for her for a ride from there, and these guys weren't letting her go at this bar.
This was all happening at the bar called the Huron River Inn, or the HRI. Rob was a cook, and the owners at that time were allowing Rob, Kass, and some buddies to stay in the basement of the bar. At one of the meetings with Kelly, her private investigator, and the police, she was asked to identify some items that were found in the basement of the HRI, shoved into a crack in the wall.
Well, as soon as he opened the bag, I could smell my sister. My sister wore Fendi perfume. My sister had, because the bag had her perfume, had her toothbrush, like an overnight bag. That's what it reminded me of. And I could smell her.
So we now know that the new owners of the HRI found a bag and items belonging to Kass hidden in the basement of the Huron River Inn, and the police located a different bag and the exact same clothes she was seen wearing when Kelly last saw her on the morning of June 7, 2019, hanging on a fence behind the Baymont Hotel.
And 2021 is when they wanted me to identify her clothing that they found that was hanging on the fence outside the Beaumont in the back. When she got up out of bed with Rob in bed, she was getting dressed. She had a pair of nude color, like tan color, stretchy pants on and a hoodie, a green hoodie. Well, what do you think was hanging on the fence in the pictures that I saw? They showed me pictures of her items, and then they asked if I could identify the bag, and I said, yep, it was like one of those bags that you get at like a gas station. It's a big plastic bag, you put a lot of shit in. And her pill bottles were scattered. She was manic, and had anti-anxiety and manic depressive. She took pills from whatever the hospital she was in. They gave her pills that she couldn't live without, and they were there.
In the woods?
Yes.
By her clothes?
Yes. And the empty cans of food. That girl, it all added up. There was canned goods and a can opener. So she was living in the woods. It's not a lie, but she was. But I didn't know any of this for years. I'm like, couple years. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? So behind the Baymont, where some of her clothing was found, not her overnight bag. There was an overnight bag that was found in the HRI, and that was found after her clothes, supposedly. Like her clothes, those items were found when the new owners took over. They found them.
At the HRI.
They were shoved in a crack in the wall in the basement of the bar. Like hidden. They were shoved in a crack, hidden. And the new owners found it. And they called the South Rockwood police or whatever. So that was found years later. But Cassie's items were found right away, a week later after reported her missing. But I didn't know this for years. So they took photographs and then showed me the photographs at the Inkster Police Department. But, before that, in the meantime, while we got her out there missing, I would get phone calls from the detective going, oh, we found our girl. I think we found our girl. There's a body off Stearns. What was she wearing last? We found a body. just in that tone.
What?
That's
To you?
Yeah, that was Winnicky. Yes. He said that. I go, that's my sister. Are you kidding me? Oh, then they found a body at, one of the metro parks over here, not far from me. We found a body, we don't know if it's our girl. That's how they said it. I'm like,
oh my God.
You people have no remorse. That is my sister you could be talking about. Both of them ended up being males. So I would call the morgues every Sunday because Wayne County and Monroe County are all connected. They are out of the same morgue. And not like I wanted to know this, but I found this out. I would call. They're open on Sunday, and I would call, and I gave the lady that answered all the time my information. And then when I called Monroe County, they asked for if I had my DNA out there, and I said no. They go, why not? I go, I don't know. Nobody asked me for my DNA. So finally I call Flat Rock, and I'm like, you need to get my DNA out there in case a body comes up. And do you know how many Jane Does are out there?
Y'all, according to Kelly, before the police even knew the gender of a body that was found, Detective Winnicky would call her and put her through the emotional roller coaster of wondering if it's her sister that they have found. It is clear to me that Winnicky has never had a loved one go missing. The lack of empathy is astounding, and it needs to change.
He called me. I'm at work. I was at work, called my cell phone, and we found a body. I mean, was she wearing Levi's? Would she have an ink pen in her pants? I shit you not. It's exactly what he asked me. And what size Levi's? I say that every time I would say, what if that was your sister? What if that was your mother? What if that was your daughter? How about that? I go, you would think differently. And, you would think, yeah, there's a lot of missing people in Michigan. I get it. But, I'm like, it's not, allegedly missing. She's not missing. I don't, my sister would have not been gone this long without calling Miranda. Absolutely not. EBT card was never touched. It was never changed. If she moved out of state, she would have to have an EBT card. That's how she survived. And she would always help Miranda. She wouldn't have gave that baby up for nothing, meaning her grandchild. That was going to be her world. That was her whole thing of getting clean and being healthy. And she would not, no way. Like I said, she might not talk to me for a month, but she would not talk to Miranda, not ever. And tried it no matter what. And especially she would want to see Reese. He was a baby at the time.
I was curious of Kelly's thoughts on why she believes Kass still has not been found as of this recording.
Definitely. Not serious. I get the feeling, well, your sister was an addict and she probably chose to run away. I'm like, oh, so you know her and she chose to run away. That makes a lot of sense to us, leaving a daughter and a grandbaby behind. Mm-hmm. I said, no, you don't know my sister. Yes, definitely. So it's like, I feel like they just go on to the next, or there's not enough there. Like, I get the weirdest feeling from the detective from MSP. He's just, I thought it was a good thing that I contacted the mayor of Flat Rock like you told me to do. I did all that stuff, and it worked. We get him to MSP. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's fully turned over. I'm pretty sure it's still, they're just assisting, but he acts like he's young too. He just acts like he's got no emotion. It's so, he has no emotion. Hey, I'm going to swing by. Can you identify these people? I'm going to give you these pictures. And I'm like, I don't even know who that is. I think he just does it to blow smoke up my ass to keep me at bay. Oh, well, we only have so much money for each case. I ran out of money at the end of this year for this case, and then I got to work on the next one. His exact words.
He tells you that?
Yeah, he says they only get so much money through whatever it is, through the state, and work on these cases, and he's at his end with that one, so he has to move on to the next until he gets the next the next year comes around, and it depends on the case, what one takes precedent. Which one does? How about everybody? Okay, yeah. And then he always tells me I'm busy working on other cases. His famous line. Okay, but work on my sisters too. My sister's still important. I don't give a shit if she was an addict. She was at one time, yeah, but she was an awesome person. Ask anybody that met her. She was a good person. She was super smart. I said, so she didn't fall into something. My sister was smart, very street smart, super street smart.
And then I asked Kelly if she thinks that there are people out there that know exactly what happened to her sister.
1,000%. I think if we ruffle feathers, I think if we offer more money, I think someone's going to come forward. I think someone might feel guilty enough. I don't know, maybe somebody's going to feel bad enough. Hopefully they can't live with themselves thinking, oh my God, what if that was my sister for real? What if that was my mom, your brother, mother, anybody? Maybe they might get a conscience. I don't know. You would think, because karma's a bitch. And you do wrong for so long, it's going to come around. I believe that I know 1,000% someone knows something. I think there's a few. I think there's a lot going on in that bar at the time that those people worked there. And I just pray that, if they did something to her, she went quick and she didn't suffer.
Here is Kelly explaining how this has impacted her life. Not knowing where her sister is. Not knowing what happened to her sister. And not having her sister's body to lay to rest.
I miss her. It's going to get emotional for me. I feel that I needed her more than she needed me, and she didn't know. Because I always had to be the strong one, because she did stupid shit. But she didn't realize I needed her. I hid a lot of mine, like my mom would say. I never really was worried about you, Kelly, because you come out fighting, I come out fighting balls to the wall. I'm like, I'm going to, and Kass seemed to repress a lot of things in her anger and never fought back. It's hard. And I needed my sister. I need my sister. Me and her, oh my God, we'd have so much fun. We hung out. Yeah, we fought. We did. We were sisters. Why wouldn't we? But she still was my best friend at the end of the day. We had our differences in the way we thought, but she was my rock, and she didn't even know it. And she would always be there for me. She picked me up off the ground at my house when I went through my divorce, and I was at home by myself, and it was Christmas, and it was my first, and I'm struggling, and she's like, come on, get your ass up. We're going to make dinner. Let's make some drinks. We'll be okay. No matter what, if we were fighting, we were there for each other. Always, always.
Kelly is currently married to an incredible man, and she is a wonderful role model for Cassie's daughter and her grandchildren.
I breathe down their neck about Kass. I want Reese to know who Kass is. Her, and Miranda, I wanted to let them know. I was, I'm like, and I sit there and I always look up at the sky because I know Kass is not with us. And I look and I'm like, I should not be dealing with this. You should be here helping me deal with this. We should be dealing with this together, because technically we raised Miranda together. We had each other. I had Kass. I could tell her anything and she could tell me anything, and there was no judgment. I never judged her. I told her one day. She called me crying and told me what she did, and I was like, I'm not judging. I used to go with her to drop her off at rehab, and then I'd pick her up. So I'll never forget Kass. I'll never forget her, and I don't want them to forget her. And I don't want the police to forget her. I don't know if we'll ever get closure,
I wondered what justice would look like for Kass's family.
Find out exactly what happened, what they did to her, what happened to her. Justice to me, and the people that did it, whoever did it, for them to be behind bars, or or eye for an eye. That ain't how our justice system works, though. And I wanted to meet up with Rob several times. I wanted to ask him point blank to his face. I wanted to see what he had to say and see if he was lying. He's got a new girlfriend, and I mentioned it to her on Messenger that you might want to run. He could be a murderer. She blocked me.
As of this recording, you guys, Kelly has never seen Rob since the morning of June 7, 2019, when he left the hotel room.
And then I messaged him on Messenger a couple times after that, saying, just tell me what happened. Just tell me. Was it an accident? Did she OD and you guys cover it up? I go, just be honest. We need closure. We need to know what happened. I mean, wouldn't you want to know what happened to your loved one? I mean, not knowing is like the worst. I know in my heart she is not on this earth. There's so many people down in like where this happened that would come forward for any little bit of money or anything, but there's still a few that I think might feel that have conscience, and they're like, you know what, maybe I've been quiet too long. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. Getting it back out there, like more traction and more information. Someone's going to, because I know deep in my heart someone down there knows something. I don't know if they're afraid. I don't know if the person was afraid. I heard a couple people that were possibly involved are in jail now. It was something bad. And the police wouldn't tell me what it was all about. They still have her items. They still have everything. Is it because it's an ongoing investigation, even though it's kind of gotten cold? Because it's like they're not getting, it's not getting precedent, so it moved on to the next. But it's still just sitting there, I don't understand that. A year later or a year and a half later, and I'm identifying some of her items. That's fucked up. And why was it hidden in a wall, like shoved in a wall, like no one would find it? And someone said they saw, my sister had a specific handbag. It was my mom's, and it had a dragon on it. It was a bag. So it didn't seal up, but it was like a bag, satchel. And it was my mom's. And she had it, and she would take it everywhere. She always had it. Someone said they saw Rob in the back with her bag. And it was very, you can't miss it. It's very distinctive. You're not going to just say, oh, no, it's just a bag. No, it's something you would notice. I've not seen it. Not nowhere. That was not in any of her items that were found. None of her items in the woods. None of the items, obviously, that were in the bag, in the bar. She had, like, sweatshirts, hoodies, some pants, pair of tennis shoes, and flip-flops I've never seen before. They didn't look like hers. They wouldn't even give me the size. I just knew the bag that the big bag that she had, this grocery-type bag that she carried around everywhere, was, like, checkered. I recognized that bag. I recognized the hoodie, because the green hoodie she had on that last day, and the pants. Those pants were there. And jeans. I think there were some Levi's that were all cut up that were hers. And they were muddy. And then she was seeing my hairdresser, too, at one time, and I didn't know it. And my hairdresser tried taking her home. She was so fucked up, and the guy she was with was abusive, and he had control of her. She was, like, seemed messed up. She didn't know her way up, down. She goes, I'm taking her home. I'm taking her home. She wouldn't come with me. She would not go home with me. Yeah, it was the guy that she lived with in the trailer park. His name was Robert Kennedy. He was an old guy.
Kass, if you are still alive and listening, here's a message from your sister that has never and will never give up on getting you justice.
We miss you and we need you. We need her. We need her. And she didn't know we needed her. That's what sucks. I don't think we told her either. Shame on us. I need her. I don't want to be selfish, but I need my sister. We had fun together. We had bad times, we had good times, but we had more better times than we had bad. And we're all we got. My mom's gone, my dad's gone, I have my uncle, but he lives in Florida. Me and her could at least had each other, I hope that someone comes forward, and I hope they give us closure and give us better understanding on what happened. I hope someone has a heart and comes forward. I hope and pray every night that someone is, yeah, is it going to be hard? Well, yeah, but not knowing is even harder because your mind runs wild. We used to have so much fun. I went with, no matter what, we are always together, see? So it didn't matter.
Here's how people can help.
Come forward. If they know something, say something. Know something, say something. Exactly. If you've heard of something, if you knew Kass and you heard of something, let us know. Let somebody know. Don't be afraid. You know, I mean, it's Lenny that's on the flyer, so it isn't going straight to the cops. So if you're afraid, I got to look outside the box. Like I've been focusing only on one thing, and obviously there's other parts to the puzzle. You sit back and have some years of thinking, which I've had. You start thinking other things, you know.
If you know anything about the whereabouts of Kassie Lee Merrow, please speak up. Give her family some answers. There likely is a killer or killers still walking the streets. Who will be their next victim? If you'd like to be a hero and share what you know, you can contact any of the following. Flat Rock Police Department at 734-782-2496. You can reach out to the private investigator Lenny at lenpaquette@gmail.com or call him at 734-624-1235. Or you can email me at mylindsayAnn, that's MYLINDSAYANN @gmail.com. So many people have failed Kassie Merrow. As of this episode, she is still listed as a missing person. It's time to find Kass. Thank you for your support, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to Can't Stop, Won't Stop Warriors on YouTube. It's a free and easy way to help get more awareness out about the corruption happening throughout this country. I appreciate you.